Stream The Conscious Bae right now, available on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Now let's jump into the video.
Something that I've noticed recently is that for little girls, I think that no matter how you look, we should be trying to instill into them to be proud of how they look. Recently, in the media, it's almost been like a push to, it's not just making young Black children feel proud of themselves, but it's almost like doing that and at the same time telling other children not to be proud of themselves. And I don't want any child feeling that way. I don't like that. I don't like people making other people feel badly about themselves in any way. We need to nurture young girls. Yes, whether they are Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, they still need to be nurtured. They cannot continue to pay for other people's sins. They haven't done anything wrong.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Conscious Bae channel. I'm your host, the Conscious Bae, and today we're getting into Wicked for Good. This is a part 3 of a 3-part series. Parts 1 and 2 are already on the channel, so if you haven't watched those, definitely go check them out. But honestly, this video is going to summarize a lot of what I've covered and push the conversation further, specifically why casting a Black woman as Elphaba activates an entirely new racial meaning the film never acknowledges, but absolutely reinforces. And let me add this because it clearly needs to be said based on the previous videos that I posted in the comments. If you enjoy the Wicked films, that is perfectly fine. But today I'm asking you to open your third eye for a moment, okay? Speaking personally, I am someone who cannot watch movies purely for entertainment. I naturally break down symbolism, narrative patterns, and the stereotypes that keep resurfacing in media, especially when Black people are involved, okay? So that's the lens I'm using in this conversation, and it's important to name that outright. And honestly, if there are any other films y'all want me to watch and break down, feel free to drop them in the comments. These conversations matter. I don't see them happening enough, okay? Every now and then I'll hear small critiques about representation, right? But most of the time we just accept what we're given from Hollywood without questioning it. And at this point, that's unacceptable to me. So with that being said, when a Black woman is placed in a role of the misunderstood, feared, monstrous woman, it taps directly into stereotypes the average Black woman deals with every single day. Stereotypes about femininity, desirability, danger, strength, and basic humanity. And this is where a single line from the film becomes the key to understanding the deeper problem here. They need someone to be wicked. This is a scene where Elphaba was talking to Glinda, right? What does that really mean? They need someone to be wicked. It means someone has to be positioned as the villain so someone else can be positioned as the hero. Someone has to carry the fear so someone else can carry the purity. They need someone to be wicked so that someone else can be good. And when that someone is a Black woman, the symbolism stops being fantasy and it becomes reality. Black women are constantly cast as the foil, the threat, the danger, the difficult one, right? So others can appear softer, safer, more lovable, more feminine. That line reveals the entire system. Goodness is manufactured through the demonization of someone else. And historically, culturally, and socially, that someone else is often Black people, Black men, Black women. And that's why these conversations matter, because this isn't a one-off. It's a pattern so normalized in culture that people stop noticing how deeply it shapes real world perceptions, and in this context of Black women.
Last question. When did you know you were tough? You're tough.
Am I?
I think so.
I mean, I think I'm strong.
Tough and strong.
I think I'm strong. I think I'm vulnerable. I think I'm a myriad of different things.
Like a protector too? You're tough. You're tough. You are a tough person. You're strong.
Well, I think I'm strong, and I think I also can be protected too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we can be both. I think it's okay for us to be both strong, protected, and protective.
It's about the impact, the implications, and the intentional stereotypes that get reinforced right in front of us, even in fantasy worlds where anything should be possible. Black women still don't get full humanity, full softness, or full femininity. Because the moment Cynthia Erivo stepped into the role of Elphaba, the story stopped being just a story. It actually became a mirror reflecting what we already see in real life. Femininity, desirability, and humanity get distributed based on race, right? And before y'all go off in the comments, oh, well, she has green skin, it represents her being othered, she's not black. Listen, we all know Cynthia Erivo is a black woman. Okay, we look at her in the role of Elphaba. Clearly, she is a black woman, painted in green skin. Okay, yes. But even down to how they chose to do her hair in braids, micro braids. Okay, we are looking at a black woman when we see her in this role. I don't care what y'all say, miss me with the bullshit. The femininity divide, Glinda versus Elphaba. Glinda, played by Ariana Grande, is the embodiment of ideal femininity. Soft, precious, pure, desired. Even in, dramatic moments in the film where they showcase her wedding being collapsed. All of these kind of things that were happening to her. She was still upheld at the very least as the hero. Still being convenienced, right? The crown jewel, the angel of the story, the public face of hope. So essentially, by the end of the film, Glinda still is adored, respected, powerful, feminine, a whole woman. Now compare that to Elphaba. Her femininity only shows up behind closed doors, right? Only in intimacy with Fiyero. And if you've watched my part 1 and part 2, then you can hear my thoughts about how I feel like they framed technically a interracial relationship between a black woman and a white man. And while there's nothing wrong with that, that is also a repetitive narrative that we see in modern media, where there's a push to showcase black women essentially with anyone other than a black man. However, going back to the conversation, again, they only showcase her femininity through intimacy, only when softened by love. Never publicly, never communally, never as a woman allowed full femininity. Most of her screen time encompassed her dealing with the repercussions of being othered, right? How the wizard felt about how she wouldn't utilize her power to push agendas, how she was constantly on the run. Society hated her for absolutely no reason, and she was misunderstood. She was considered dangerous, evil. There was a bounty on her head. Now, fast forward to Elphaba's quote unquote happy ending. She has to fake her death to survive. Her love interest, Fiyero, does run away with her. He chooses her, runs away with her. However, he becomes non-human. He becomes the scarecrow. And I think that this is important because, backtracking a bit, when Glinda was going to marry Fiyero, he was, one, still in his human form. Okay, but they also made sure to showcase the beautiful wedding, right? How love looks for one person and how it looks for another person. And this being symbolic of a pattern, right? Black women get the scraps of romance in film. It is never a fantasy. Love that must be compromised, burdened, or distorted just to exist. Glinda is the face of public femininity, whereas Elphaba is the face of marginalized femininity. Now, y'all, let's talk about the press run. I seriously felt like they were playing on the female and masculine polarity between Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Beyond the crying and, them looking super skinny and all of that, believe it or not, I felt like at this point that has been a way to push the film for publicity. However, there were countless moments where Erivo was repeatedly masculinized online, not seen as soft or glamorous or anything like that, but strong and intense, doing too much, right? And then, of course, there was the infamous moment where a fan had rushed Ariana on the red carpet, and then Cynthia instinctively shields her, and the internet turned it into Cynthia's the bodyguard. She's the man of the situation. She's the protector of white fragility. And memes painting her as clingy and obsessed and territorial. Her femininity was mocked, while Ariana was framed as the delicate flower, right? And then the icing on the cake is Cynthia being crowned GQ's Man of the Year. And I mean, okay, question mark, ... Like, what is this? It is so annoying that we have to deal with this kind of representation as Black women. Somebody is playing in somebody else's face. From the film and the casting to the press run, magazine covers being framed and narratives being portrayed, pictures, visuals looking certain ways. People love to say it's just a movie, but representation is never random. Symbolism is intentional. Patterns tell the truth. When the same dynamics repeat themselves in film, marketing, memes, press shots, awards, it becomes impossible to pretend it's an accident. Black women get strength, not softness. Now, this brings me to the part that sits the heaviest, which is the sacrifice. Black women in media aren't just helpers. They are typically the sacrifice that allows white mediocrity to flourish. So going back to the film, Elphaba sacrifices her reputation, her safety, her identity, her femininity, her place in society, her humanity in the public eye, so that Glenda can rise and be untouched. Now let's zoom out of the movie for a second again and look at Hollywood and the career layer. Considering this film is being packaged as the biggest opportunity of both women's careers, Cynthia and Ariana, but look at how each woman is being immortalized in this film. Ariana gets a fairy tale, softness, desirability, purity, glamour, fantasy, femininity, elevation. Cynthia gets sacrifice, misunderstood intensity, burden, inhuman transformation, racial coding, femininity erased, or conditional. Now, Hollywood will definitely hand a Black woman the role of Elphaba in such a prestigious film, but the prestigious role is almost always tied to pain. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. And even in legacy, Ariana will be remembered for the dresses and the fantasy, right? The hero. Whereas Cynthia will be remembered for the sacrifice she had to make. So with that being said, when we talk about the Oscars and what we reward as far as, the ripple effects and what this creates within society, who gets rewarded for what? Black women are absolutely rewarded for playing characters that play into the social conditioning, playing painful roles, playing roles where they are seen as less than human. Hattie McDaniel was the first Black woman to win an Oscar for Gone with the Wind. She played Mammy, a devoted enslaved maid. Then there was Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost. She played a comedic sidekick whose purpose was to guide and protect her white romantic leads. Then there was Jennifer Hudson, Dreamgirls. I love that film. But she played Effie White, a powerful singer who was really humiliated, and forced into suffering for other people's success. Then there was Monique and Precious, played Mary, an abusive, monstrous mother. Octavia Spencer in The Help. She played Minnie, a maid, enduring racism and humiliation. And then, of course, Lupita Nyong'o in 12 Years a Slave. She played an enslaved woman, being brutally abused and violated. Viola Davis in Fences, playing a long-suffering wife holding down a broken family. And then lastly, Halle Berry in Monsters Ball, and her son dies. She's struggling financially. Her husband's on death row. The premise of it is racially charged sexual exploitation. So, of course, what do all of these roles have in common? Not one celebrates Black women as romantic, soft, desirable, whimsical, joyful, magical in a positive way, powerful without punishment. The Academy rewards pain, servitude, trauma, dehumanization, suffering, and monstrosity. And then, of course, you look at white women counterparts: Gwyneth Paltrow, Shakespeare in Love, Emma Stone, La La Land, Reese Witherspoon, Walk the Line, Nicole Kidman, The Hours. So you're telling me that white women are given awards for being human, while Black women are given awards for surviving hell. And all I could do is sigh, because there are still going to be people that are like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. You know what? Okay. Wicked didn't invent this dynamic. It simply exposed it again in a very modern way. The cinematography was great. The music, amazing. But still pushing the narrative. Still conditioning people. Media teaches people subconsciously and consciously through conditioning who to love, who to fear, who to desire, who to protect, who to ignore. And because a Black girl in Ghana, London, Atlanta, Brazil will all internalize these portrayals, these narratives shape how they date, who hires them, who feels like they should or should not be protected, empathy, desirability, opportunity. I critique Wicked because I refuse to let Hollywood hide harmful racial narratives behind the excuse of it's just a movie. The story isn't the problem. The casting is. The symbolism is. The visual coding is. Why, even in fantasy, does the Black woman always end up with the same burdened ending? Y'all answer me that question in the comments. They could have cast anybody for this fucking role. They could have had Ariana play the evil witch and Cynthia play Glinda. Why not? It's fantasy. It's fake. Harm, my friends, HARM, is most effective when it's subtle. I do challenge people to step outside the idea of film as just film and start paying attention. Stop watching blindly and start watching consciously. Because movies aren't harmless entertainment. They are instruction. They are conditioning. Nothing in media is accidental. Every dynamic reinforces something. Every casting choice suggests something. Every stereotype repeats something. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning into the Conscious Space channel. Make sure to drop your thoughts in the comments. I definitely want to hear you guys' take on this one. Make sure also to hit the like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you on the next episode. Peace and love.